Welcome everyone to the LinkedIn Q&A Live, where I am answering your burning questions about LinkedIn so that you can grow your business on LinkedIn, attract your ideal clients on LinkedIn, overall lead a happier life. We're going to accomplish everything in 1 hour. So any questions that you happen to have, put them in the chat, and they could be about LinkedIn profiles, LinkedIn company pages, how to engage on LinkedIn, content strategy, you name it. If you want to ask a personal question, you can do that too. I'm pretty transparent. I'll pretty much answer anything, but let's try to keep it focused on LinkedIn. So again, go ahead and put stuff in the chat. And by the way, Joanne is the first to comment. Let me go ahead and I think I can do this just a second. Boop. I'm trying to go ahead and show this. There we go. All right. All right. So Joanne is the first to comment. So thank you very much, Joanne. Joanne's one of my favorite supporters. You're just always there. You're always the first one in a live stream. So thank you so much for that. All right, so go ahead, everyone, put stuff in the comments. I'm going to keep Joanne's up right there. Oh, and also, Shaq says hi, and he's here to cheer me on. And Shaq and I did actually two podcasts together, and or actually LinkedIn Lives, and so Shaq is awesome as well. So thank you so much, Shaq. I really appreciate it. So guys, go ahead, put your questions in, and in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I have some questions that I've already compiled in from previous videos. There are certain questions I get all the time, so I thought it might be helpful to go ahead and answer some of those questions while you're kind of getting your own questions ready to ask. And I will tell you, if you put something in the chat, first come, first serve, you get priority. But in the meantime, let me go ahead and just a second here. You see that there's a little thing right there. Let me get rid of that. It's so funny because I often get comments about, maybe you should have someone help you with your live stream so they go a little more smoothly with the technology. And I would agree with that. But we're here for the really good content, and that piece I promise you I could do for you. Okay. So you guys should see this question here, and here is one question that I get a lot, and it says one last question. It's because this person had asked a lot of questions in this particular video, and it says, if I want to sell a service with my brand, would I attract faster clients when I post directly on my company page, or should I sell the service to post on my personal page? So this is really a question of what does better for me, my LinkedIn personal profile or my company page. And some of you have heard this. Those who are regulars to my channel have heard me say this till I'm blue in the face. Your personal profile does so much better than your company page. And I'm not saying not to have a company page, but what I am saying, and let me go ahead and just go right here. Okay. So what I am saying is that always think of LinkedIn as a, one big networking event, right? Okay. If you ever go to an in-person networking event, you go as yourself. You don't walk into a networking event with a paper bag over your head that has your company logo on it. Right? Or let's say you go to a networking event and there are a whole bunch of people that are talking to each other, and then there are also some vendor tables, maybe, kind of in the corners. Where are most people congregated? Where all the fun conversation is, or at those vendor tables? It's where the conversation is. People are building trust and relationships with people. Okay. So your personal profile, I know it's personal, but it's you. It's you representing your brand, just as when you go to a company, just when you go to a networking event, you're representing yourself as part of your brand. So it's the same exact thing. Okay. So you're still talking as yourself, but again, with the brand in the background, if that makes sense. So both from a relationship standpoint, and I would also argue an algorithm standpoint, it always makes sense to put your content focus and really all of your energy into your personal profile. And I have seen many times posting exactly the same content through my personal profile as well as my company page, even if you adjusted for the number of followers and stuff like that, my posts go out to way more people and have way more conversations generated from the personal profile. So I hope that helps. So again, while you guys are thinking about questions to ask, let me go ahead and move on to the next question that I have. Just a second here. And by the way, I typically get a ton of questions about company pages, so I'm going to answer this one next, because I wanted to kind of keep the questions kind of bunched up in some type of logical order. But again, please interrupt me at any time with any questions you have. Okay, the second one is, hello. I know you mentioned this already in the video, but I just want to confirm with you what you said about connecting your personal LinkedIn to your company LinkedIn. Are you sure that it is private who owns the company page? Okay, there are actually two questions really in this one question. The first one is, if I create a company page, can people tell it was me who created it? Is it private? In other words, my name doesn't show up. The second question that's in here is, can I really believe you? I know you said in the video, but were you just like speaking out of your butt? Okay. So let me answer that question first. And that one is, if I put something in a video that I have literally spent, I spend up to 40 hours on one video. And for a couple of my videos, it's been up to 50 hours. I don't say something unless I can back it up at the time that I am creating the video. And if I'm not sure of something, if for example, let's say there's lots of research or that gives conflicting information, I will say that. But if I definitively say this is how it is in a video, it's because I did meticulous research into it, because you're spending the time watching a video and I want to make sure that every second counts for you. Okay, so I had to get that out there. Okay, so in terms of building a company page, it is private. So, and I know for a fact, and also just from seeing it and researching it, I have built a lot of company pages for clients, and you cannot tell from the outside that I built it, even, and I'm not related to that company except for the fact that the company hired me to build it and do other LinkedIn consultation, right? The only time people will see that you are connected to a company page is if you say you're employed by that company and you add that company to your experience section. You have literally gone through the efforts of adding them to the experience section of your profile. Then obviously you're connected somehow. But from a behind the scenes standpoint, no, that certainly does not happen. All right. So let us move on to the next one. So no questions yet, but definitely please don't be shy. We all have questions, and what I find, and this is actually one of the reasons why I also started offering group coaching, is because a lot of times people have questions that if they ask it, other people say, that's been my question too. Thank you so much for asking that. Yes, I want to find that out too. And then we all can learn from each other. So please feel free to do that. Okay, so the next question is, can you only have one company page, or can I make another for another company I have also? Yes, you can make multiple company pages. I don't know if there's a limit to how many company pages you can make. I've never hit that limit. But how many companies are you really, starting? But no, you're totally fine making multiple company pages. Okay, next one. If I open a business account through my personal account, actually, just a second, I need some water here. Okay. If I open a business account through my personal account, and if my coworkers want to log into it, will they have to log into my personal account first? I want to create a company page that will allow me and my associates to have access to it separately. And yes, you can absolutely create a separate login. Okay, that is, I shouldn't say that. It's not a separate login, excuse me. You can give other people admin access to your company page. And let me just quickly show you what that looks like. All right, so you guys should be able to see my company page right here. Just a second. And there are different ways to get to your company page. You know, one way is just to type it in the search field. If you see that I'm moving stuff around, it's because of my live stream backend stuff here. Okay, so what you're going to see here is so this is the admin panel for my Delaware Shout Out company page. And I'm pretty sure it's settings. Let me see. If you click on settings, yeah, then you can click on manage admins. I'm not going to click on here because, you know, I want to keep private who's an admin to my page, but you'll be able to add admins. You'll also be able to set certain permissions for them. Okay. And it could be super admin, which is pretty much like super admin is kind of like the grand overlord. Not only can they, for example, post content, but they could delete your page if they wanted to. So only give super admin access to someone you really, really trust. But then there's, I think there's also like a content editor and analyst. I think analyst is where they can just see the analytics. Oh gosh, what I try to do is I compile these questions, but I wanted to keep things as organic as possible. So I'm not just giving you these rehearsed answers. So these questions were compiled several days ago. But you'll see in manage admins, there are, I think, 3 different settings you can do, in terms of permission levels. So I hope that helps. All right, let's keep on going. Okay, so this one says, while creating my company page, I was told I don't have enough connections to create a page. What do I do? This question I've gotten multiple times. So what happens is someone's creating a company page and they're also very, very, very new to LinkedIn. So they have their personal account. They immediately go and create a company page and they don't have enough connections. So if LinkedIn tells you you don't have enough connections, then go get connections. That's what you have to do. If I remember correctly, it's either you have to have at least 1 or 2 connections, basically. So connect with anyone. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be your spouse. It could be your next door neighbor. It could be your mom. It doesn't really matter, but you have to connect with someone. Obviously, as long as they're on LinkedIn, and it could be a stranger, but you need to connect with people. And then, because what LinkedIn wants to do is they want to make sure that it's real people who are behind that company page. Remember that LinkedIn is it's one big networking event, right? So LinkedIn wants to make sure it's real people showing up. So I hope that helps. Let's see. So right now we have Joanne and Shaq are the ones who have been commenting. So you guys get an A+. I still have room for more A+. So go ahead and say hello in the comments. You can, and also feel free to ask any question you want. And it can be, again, about profiles. It could be about engagement. It could be about content. Anything you wish, anything you're wondering, I'm happy to answer. Okay, let's move on. While we're waiting for that, let's go ahead and move on to the next question. Even if I have 2 different careers, I'm a dentist and also a fashion designer, isn't it confusing to have it all in one LinkedIn? So this question came from my video about why you should only have one LinkedIn profile. Okay. Now, the number 1 reason, by the way, to have only one LinkedIn profile is because if you have more than one, it goes against LinkedIn's terms of service because there's only one of you. You don't have 2 of you, unless you have a twin and that twin is you. They're not really you. They look like you, but they're not you. But, there's only one of you. So LinkedIn only wants one of you on LinkedIn, okay? Because it's a networking event. So it goes against terms of service. Now, I will say, and I'm not sure if this person, when they asked if they were just being hypothetical about being a dentist and also a fashion designer, or if they were trying to give 2 types of careers that are just so different from each other. But is it going to be confusing? Yeah, it will. Just as it would be in an in-person situation. So really the biggest question is, which one do you want to promote the most on LinkedIn? Or maybe promote exclusively on LinkedIn. Okay, you can do that if you want. So for example, let's say again, you're a dentist and a fashion designer, and let's say, actually, let me change this. Let's say you're a dentist and you're an interior designer, okay, and you're hoping to build your interior design business, and you are also looking to attract other businesses as an example for your interior design portfolio. You might not need to, maybe you don't need to mention that you're a dentist in your LinkedIn profile, or if you do, maybe it's a secondary experience. It's not listed at the top, but your interior design stuff is what you pretty much promote in your profile. It's, you know, you have a beautiful interior design scene that you've created, something you've done, you know, in the banner, you know, your headline focuses on that, you know, the about section, the whole thing, okay? And because really people really don't go on LinkedIn to find a dentist. Well, no one goes on LinkedIn to buy anything, but LinkedIn really isn't the best platform for a dentist, whereas for an interior designer or, you know, something, you know, or so many other categories, LinkedIn would be the best place to showcase that type of thing. So I'm hoping that answers that. I do get that a lot, especially if someone is, how do I put it? Let's say they have actually, I'm going to give you another scenario. And actually, let me just get back to my main thing right here. Okay. So a lot of times I get a question from someone who they have a full-time job and, you know, they like it, but they have a side business and they're really, really, really trying to grow it. And, you know, eventually they hope to quit the full-time job and just do the side business, right? And so in that case, it's a little bit tricky in terms of what to promote on LinkedIn. And I've always had to have individual conversations with these folks about it. So, for example, let's say with their full-time job, they don't really need to be on LinkedIn, then go ahead and just flat out promote the side job. And again, you also have to talk, it's really good to be transparent with your employer as well. Okay, so, you know, but if it's something where your employer is a little bit lukewarm about it, it's okay if you kind of put it out there, but don't, you know, make it more important than the brand that they're representing, because maybe in their full-time job they're also the face of that, one of the faces of the company. Then maybe you need to give equal weighting or put more weight towards the full-time job and then kind of mention the side gig secondarily on LinkedIn until you have enough momentum to make that your full-time thing. So again, you just have to be a little bit careful with that. Okay, I hope that answers that. Let's keep on going. Okay. Ooh, okay. Why am I, it's so funny, I'm looking like I'm surprised, like, ooh, this is a really good question, like I've never seen this before. The best time to post on LinkedIn. Okay, I'm going to give you two different answers. One of them is the answer, actually, one reason, I do remember, one reason this question is actually kind of funny is because this question was put in the comments of my video about the best times to post on LinkedIn. So instead of watching the video, they're like, can you just like type it all out for me, the whole answer? So, yeah, it just, I would recommend watching the video, but let me just kind of sum things up. Now, LinkedIn has changed things recently, actually, and has changed things up since I posted this video about the best times, where when you put a post out there, it's going to, they really spread out the distribution of it. So instead of most of the distribution of that post into people's news feeds happening in the first hour, in the first day, you know, the first couple days, that type of thing, it can spread out over the week to the point where I don't recommend even looking at your post analytics till a week later, right? So if that's the case, the time of day doesn't really matter. Now, this change with changing the distribution of your, changing the timing of the distribution of your posts, again, this was pretty recent, but even before that change happened, if we go back to when I did this video about the best times to post, the point I made in that video is Yeah, there are some times where there tends to be more LinkedIn traffic and it might be advantageous, possibly like, you often hear, for example, Tuesday through Thursday from maybe 10 to 2, that type of thing. But there's some problems with this. First of all, if your LinkedIn connections are in like all the different time zones, and as a matter of fact, they're not all mostly clustered in one time zone, then what difference does it make what time you post? Because you're going to hit people in different time zones, right? But here's the other thing. If you, let me just get back to this other screen here. I prefer doing it this way. Okay. But here's the other thing. I just lost my train of thought in a live stream. This is fantastic. Okay. Oh yeah, here's the other thing. Let's say Tuesdays at 10 o'clock are absolutely the best time. And I'm just going to use my hand here. And so it's like this good, right? Maybe Mondays at 1 o'clock is like right here. So just because Tuesdays at 10 are better, it doesn't mean they're that much better than Mondays at 1. So what happens is that people are clustering their posts on certain days and times when other days and times are practically just as good. As a matter of fact, I have found that even though there is less traffic on the weekends, sometimes I post something on the weekends. Now, I don't work on the weekends. I write out my posts and then schedule them to go out on the weekends. And I will say I only schedule posts to actually go out on, if they go out on a weekend, I only have them go out on a Saturday, because even though I'm not even there on a Saturday when it goes out, I definitely don't work on a Sunday. Like, period, right? So I don't want to even a post be shown as going out for that first time on a Sunday. So but that's my own conviction, right? So but because even though there's less traffic on the weekends, there's also less competition on the weekends. So my advice is to spread out the times and days that you get your post out there, right? And especially doesn't matter now nearly as much with the distribution being spread out, but just use different days and times. Everyone has different viewing habits, right? So, okay. So let's see. Let's keep on going. And again, please feel. I'm sorry, I had like this hair sticking out. Okay, Brooke, let's do your hair in front of everyone. Okay. Sorry. I was struggling with that before our call, before this live stream. Please ask questions. Okay, cool. Joy Bramble has a question. Thank you so much. Let me go ahead and put this up. Yay! Joy has a question. I'm so excited. Okay, cool. Okay, I've got a business page on LinkedIn and started getting requests for services notifications. I was disappointed to learn that they are paid leads. Are they worth it? Thank you so much for asking this. Okay, Joy. What I have found, and if anyone else watching this has had a different experience, please let me know. From my experience and also from my clients' experience, these requests for services in this manner, they typically lead to nothing. Actually, every single time I've done it, they lead to nothing. So I wouldn't worry about it. Really. I know that's really horrible, because if they're asking you, they're probably asking a whole bunch of other people. And if someone really wanted to work with you, they could just go ahead and DM you, right? So now, again, if someone else watching has a different experience, please feel free to chime in on this. But this is what I've seen personally, as well as with my clients. Okay, so let's see. And we also now, and again, Joy, thank you for being the first person to ask a question. You also get an A+, and the other person to get an A+ now. I'm just going to give A+ to everyone. You have no idea how excited I am. Okay. Sharp Traffic Agency asks, hi, what do you think about this reach drop? It feels like LinkedIn has no plans in improving organic content. Are we in the pay-to-play era? Thank you for asking that. And let me go ahead, because Sharp Traffic Agency, obviously you're in the digital marketing space, so I just want to explain to people what pay to play means. And that is, and a lot of other platforms have gone this way, especially like think Facebook, if you have, a company page or something like that, where if you really want people to see your post, you have to, you really have to boost it. If you want anyone to see, but when you boost it, at least you can choose your audience and stuff like that. I will say I'm wondering if and Sharp Traffic Agency, please feel free to have a conversation with me as we talk about this. Are you seeing a reach after a full week of a post being out there? Because again, LinkedIn is definitely slowing down the distribution of a post. So it just means that the first couple days it will not have gone as far as it will have normally the first couple days, but after a week it probably should have been shown to the same number of people as it would have before. It's just slowing down the distribution of it. So let me know if you're seeing really poor numbers after a full week of a particular post, because you might find you're getting the same results or very similar results. What I have found is, how do I put this? I really haven't seen that drop, but I have also been more and more proactive in, I've always been proactive with commenting on people's posts and having conversations, but I've been really doubling down on that. And I'll explain how that gets to your own post, by the way. Okay, so this tangent has a reason. I've been a lot more proactive with that. I've also been really proactive about direct messaging people that I want to have more conversations with. Because what happens with LinkedIn is more and more they're really rewarding people who are having those, H to H, those human to human conversations. And when you, and so, and I have found that has kind of saved my content in a way, between that and just patiently waiting the full week, which is hard to do because you want to see immediately how your content is doing. Because the more you have those conversations with people, whether through commenting or DMing, or in my case, I'm also just trying to get conversations off of LinkedIn and just have Zoom calls with people and just talk with them and get to know them. And then when they see me back on LinkedIn, they're way more likely to comment on my stuff. I'm more likely to comment on their stuff because we feel like we know each other. And that has really boosted the engagement. I would also, I will say that another reason why some people are starting to see a drop, and I'm not saying you are doing this, okay, but I know some other people are doing this, is they're using AI more and more for their content. And using AI for brainstorming is totally fine, for organizing your thoughts, for research. AI has helped me immensely in crunching some numbers for some research I'm doing, some heavy duty research I'm doing for some of my videos. It's great for first drafts of things, but ultimately some people are hardly editing what's happening. So they're putting that content out there, and they may say that they've had AI adjust for their voice. I've had a lot of people say that, but honestly, it's still coming out looking awfully similar. So everyone is kind of very efficiently putting a lot of stuff out there that all looks the same. So another way to stick out is to use AI only very, very lightly, if at all. That will make your post stick out as well and have more people say, oh wait, this isn't like everyone else's post, and achieve it. So long story short, I haven't really seen so much of the drop, especially after waiting a full week, but then also because I'm trying to fight against all the things that might be causing it. And I hope that, so I don't feel like we're in the pay to play era whatsoever. I really don't. At some point we might be. LinkedIn is, they're a business like everyone else. They need to make money somehow. But really most of their money right now comes, my understanding, is from the premium subscriptions. And I think it's like 39% of LinkedIn users pay for premium, which I think is crazy. That's a high percentage in my mind. So they're already getting a lot of money there. They obviously get some from LinkedIn advertising. So if they have enough from there, then hopefully they don't need to have us normal folks pay just to have a normal post go out there more. So thank you very much. That was a fantastic question, and kudos to you as well for answering that. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to some of the questions that I have from beforehand. I'm also going to get another drink of water. That question got me very thirsty. Okay. Let's see. Also, my clients know when I meet with them, because we usually meet for like at least an hour, and usually in the middle somewhere I have to go up and get some more water. So the clock stops while I get some water. Okay, let's get back to some questions here. All right. Next question. Okay, so this one is about newsletters and articles. When creating a LinkedIn newsletter, right? Is it just the article you're posting? Is just the article you're posting going to be in it, or do you add more to your newsletter? Thank you. All right, this one actually requires a visual. So let me go back to my homepage just for a second, and actually let me go ahead and I want to explain the difference between newsletter. Let me explain what a newsletter is on LinkedIn. A LinkedIn newsletter is exactly the same as a blog on your website. So replace the word newsletter with blog, and it almost answers everything. You know, when you go to someone's blog on their website, how they have all their articles, you can click on there that you see all their articles. They're in reverse chronological order with the most recent article above and at the top, and then it just kind of goes down from there. It's the same thing with your LinkedIn newsletter. So think of your LinkedIn newsletter as your blog. So what happens is when you publish an article, it just kind of gets added to the top of all the other articles you've written under the umbrella of your newsletter / blog. So for instance, let me go. I'll go to my posts and activity. Okay, so for example, I'm going to go to, so I have some articles that I think these are articles I wrote before I started a newsletter, and then once I start a newsletter, now any articles that I've written since then go in that newsletter, and I've had this newsletter for quite a long time, okay? So, and you'll see this is actually the most recent article I wrote, and it just kind of goes down from here, right? So you just have one add to another. Now I will tell you, let me go back here where I'm just kind of talking to you here. Okay. And let me just stop this just for a second, just so it's not, just a second. Okay. One of these days, I think it'll take about like 20 live streams before I get used to all the controls. This is why people don't hire me to help them with live streams. They only have me help with LinkedIn. Okay. What was I saying? Okay. So I will tell you that when you post an article, I strongly encourage you, if you haven't already started a newsletter yet, to start that newsletter and post that article and all future articles under the newsletter. The reason being that when you have a LinkedIn newsletter, your LinkedIn users have the option to subscribe to it. And from my experience and from working with my clients, at least 25% of your followers will also subscribe to your newsletter. They're automatically invited to subscribe when you start the newsletter, and for all new people that you connect with, they're automatically invited to subscribe to it. So usually at least 25% of the time, they'll accept it. So depending on their settings, when their own LinkedIn settings, when you put out a new article that is through your newsletter, your newsletter subscribers can get notified in at least one of three ways. One of them is they'll actually receive an email, like a regular email to their work email or personal email, whatever, saying, by the way, Bob just posted the latest article, and actually start the beginning of the article in that email to get you hooked so you want to read more, okay? And they can receive a push notification, and they can receive notifications in their, the LinkedIn bell notification at the very top of the navigation bar of LinkedIn. So there are three different ways that people can get notified when you publish an article through a newsletter that people subscribe to. So what I have found is that my newsletter articles get some of the highest amounts of impressions and engagement and stuff like that. Like, they're very, very successful. So I really encourage you to do that. All right, let's keep on moving here. Oh, and let me go here. So we have that question. The next one, how does the LinkedIn algorithm treat articles? Do you have a video for optimizing articles? So really, my experience has been, like I said before, the as long as you put an article through a newsletter, it should do really, really well. I have not seen as much luck with just articles on their own. However, keep in mind that articles are indexed, LinkedIn articles are indexed by Google. And what that means is that, have you ever done a Google search on something and some of the search results are actually articles from LinkedIn? Okay, so if you write an article on LinkedIn and someone's doing a search on that thing that you wrote about, there is a chance that your article will appear in the search results, and hopefully on the first page of the search results, and hopefully near the top of the first page of the search results. Okay, it's a bit of a task to do all that, but it could happen. So I will also say, and when I say algorithm, I do recognize that it's algorithms, but I'm just going to say algorithm just to communicate more simply, okay? The algorithm always changes. It always changes, okay? So what I'm telling you right now on Thursday, September 25th at 10:36 a.m. Eastern Time might change at Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay? So, but this is what I have at least seen. But long story short, if you're going to do an article, do it under a newsletter and it'll still get indexed and it's all good. In terms of optimizing articles, now my articles are a little bit different, but let me actually just quickly show you an example here. Just a second. Okay. So I will tell you, and by the way, so I have 3,000 subscribers. So that is, I think that's it's about 40% of my followers also subscribe to my newsletter. So, okay, just to give you an idea, because we were talking about that before. So I will tell you, to optimize it, I do strongly urge you to add a thumbnail, some type of thumbnail image. Now, in all fairness, I am repurposing content, my YouTube content, into LinkedIn articles, right? So I've already gone through a million rounds of of iterations of this image, and I'm like, look, I worked so hard on this. This will be my image here, but have something that's eye-catching, because this image will not only appear when you post the article, right, but in the LinkedIn feed, but it'll also appear in people's email boxes if in their settings they are to receive notifications, right? So this image can really be very good. You also want to have a hook. You know, I tested GIFs and LinkedIn comments, worth it or cringe. So have something that piques curiosity. We've all heard about hooks, right? Hooks also apply, and usually when we hear about hooks on LinkedIn, we're hearing about it in terms of the first one or two sentences of a LinkedIn post. Well, guess what? It also applies to the headline here. And then you'll see I did try to have create a little bit more of a hook here. You know, you might have heard the advice: use GIFs on LinkedIn to stand out. But do they help you stand out in a good way or a bad way? Okay. And then I went ahead and gave my, talked about at the very end. Now, I will tell you that I typically, for those of you who really know me, know that I minimize my self-promotion. I do some of it, obviously, because, I have to get paid somehow. People have to hire me sometimes, but I don't try to make every other post self-promotional or anything like that. But if I do have something that's fairly meaty like this, right, at the very end, sorry for all the scrolling there, at the very end, I will have a PS, like, by the way, book a session, da 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 da. So, and I think that would be very helpful to have a call to action. I have also seen calls to action where people say, by the way, if you really like this, share it, repost, that type of thing. You can do that too. So anyway, hopefully that gives you an idea. And what I really love about articles is that, for example, you can create a hyperlink with things. If you click on here, it goes to my 1-hour consultation page on my website. You can also, if I wanted to, let me click on edit article as an example. You'll see that I could have gone crazy and had bold and italics. You can block off quotes. You can do the whole thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and click update, and there we go. Okay, so I recommend using those tools. Treat it like a blog article on your website. All right, so I hope that that is helpful to anyone who might have been asking that question. And let's see. Okay, so we're going to, I'm not seeing any more questions yet. So I'm going to go on and keep on asking, looking at some more questions here. Okay. So one question someone said is, what is the value of someone finding a format and content that might not necessarily be chart topping, but is true to them and shows them as authentic as possible? Okay. So this question, so a lot of times I get questions about, okay, which topic should I be talking about? Which formats should I be using with my posts? And when I say formats, should it be text plus image? Should it be video? Should it be a PDF carousel? Should it be a poll? What should it be, right? What does LinkedIn want? Okay. And so what this person is asking is, well, suppose I find something that kind of works with me, but, might not be as favorable with the algorithm. Don't worry about it. Okay. Because what happens is if I say, let's say, I say, you know what, you really should just do formats A and B. Let's say it's video and PDF carousels, okay? Because those are the ones that everyone wants to see, and those are the ones that perform best. And I'm not saying they do. I'm just saying, let's just say that those are the top ones. But they would take you too much time. And let's say you hate being on camera. And let's say with PDF carousels, you're like, oh my gosh, that would just take so long to make. I just don't want to do it, okay? You're going to end up doing nothing. So what would be worse? Doing no posts or doing some that bring you some joy because it's in a way that you want to share it? Maybe you love doing text plus image because you have lots of images and you want to put it out there. Or maybe you like doing text only because you're more of a writer and you don't want to deal with the image and maybe what you need to show doesn't. If that helps you be more consistent, then do it. From a topic standpoint, so that's from a format standpoint, what I just talked about. From a topic standpoint, I will say that most of your content strategy should be led by topic more than format. And for the most part, try to stay within your niche. Really try to. From an algorithm standpoint, it's helpful, but also from a let's not try to confuse your audience standpoint, it's very helpful. Now, I'm not saying to always do it. For example, some of you on this live stream probably would have seen, I just did a post yesterday, right, about my mom painting this for me, and it was for my birthday, and it's customized, and it says Delaware shout out on it. It's really nice, okay? Just made me really happy. And could I have done something super cringe and said, and that reminds me of what we need to do on LinkedIn? It's like, I could have, but I just wanted to celebrate the fact that my mom painted something for me. And I just thought the personalization was wonderful and it really touched me. So it's okay if once in a while you do something that's a little bit off topic, but make it the exception rather than the rule. But in general, you want to lead with your niche. And if you find, this is like kind of a hard truth here, if you find you're just not passionate talking about your niche, then go in a different niche. Change jobs or change businesses. I know that's so horrible to say, but it's true, okay? Yeah. So here on this live stream, we give the hard truths here. Okay. Oh, and Joanne just said, let me go ahead and click on. Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you. And Joanne comes back as, I know you've been cheering me silently the whole time since, for the last several minutes, but thank you. I need the validation for sure, because I will tell you, when you're doing a live stream, it's just you're talking to this camera and you're like, who's listening? You don't know. So, thank you. Okay, let's keep on going here. Okay, next one. Okay. So this person is asking about carousels, PDF carousels, and says, my carousel is saved as a zip file of multiple JPEGs. How do I copy it onto LinkedIn? Now, the reason I remember wanting to show this question, let me go, I just, for those of you who are just still have a question in your minds in terms of what do you mean by a carousel? Let me just quickly show you here, okay? So let me go to post an activity. When I say carousel, these are documents. LinkedIn calls them documents, right? Like this, okay? These guys. Now, when you load them, you have to load it as a PDF. If you have a bunch of JPEGs, it's not gonna work, right? It's not gonna work. What'll happen is you'll end up just posting a whole bunch of images as gosh, I wish I could show you right now. Let me see if I can let's see if we can quickly find it on the news feed. But if you've ever just seen a bunch of, I'm just going to scroll for like 2 seconds here to see if I can find it. I might not be able to find it. Okay. Okay. I don't want to bother with that too much. Okay. But I'll just stop right there. Let's say, Brooke is getting lost again. Great. Good job, Brooke. Okay. If you've ever posted multiple photos, for example, on Facebook, you know how like there's like one prominent photo and then there are other ones that are smaller, okay? That's what it's like they're all crunched together in what looks like one image, and then you have to click on one of the images to see the rest, okay? That's what it would look like if you use JPEGs. So you have to download these images as a PDF file, as actually one single PDF file, okay? It's like one single PDF file that has multiple pages in it. And then you take that and you load that onto LinkedIn, and then it'll load correctly, okay? So that's what you have to do. Because I've seen some people get tripped up with it. And I will tell you, LinkedIn does not make it obvious, okay? In all fairness, they really don't make it obvious. So I can see how that could have possibly happened. Okay, let's keep on going. And this is going to be the live stream where I actually end on time, which is amazing. Okay. Oh, this is a question. I remember why I did this. I'm so glad that I put this in here because I get this question a lot. This has to do with private mode on LinkedIn, right? What if you searched someone and clicked on their profile in public mode and then quickly switched to private mode? In other words, will I get caught? And I experimented with this a couple times, and because let's say you're visiting someone's profile and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't want them to know that they saw that I was looking at them, and oh no, I'm gonna get found out. Let me quickly switch to private mode. Okay. When I did it, I'm pretty sure I'm trying to remember now. It wasn't. I don't think I experimented on my husband's profile. In other words, because I can go log into his and blah 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 and test it. I'm pretty sure I wasn't caught, quote unquote. But you have to understand that most people aren't going to even notice anyway, like at all. Okay. First of all, someone would have to have a premium account to see everyone who's been visiting their profile. And even if they have a premium account, they'd have to be like logged in and checking to see who's been visiting your profile. And, it's the chances of them actually catching you are so slim anyway. I really wouldn't worry about it. But a lot of people do have this question. So anyway, hope that helps. Okay, let's go to the next one. This question has to do with, let's say you work for a company, the same company 5 years apart. How can we consolidate that under one company heading? So in other words, let's say you work at ABC company from 2001 to from 2015 to 2018. Okay, then 5 years pass. And then you start working for them again in 2023. So again, from 2018 to 2023, there's a 5-year gap. How do you show them all under one experience? And just to give you guys some visual with this, let me go to my profile here. And I've never, when I've left a company, I've just left. Okay, so I've never gone back. But for instance, let's say, Delaware shout out. I've had my company for 11 years now. But let's say I took a break for a little while. How would it show as multiple jobs under the same company? Unfortunately, you can't do that if there's been that long of a gap. You can only have a gap of 30 days. If you have more than that, it has to be listed as a separate job experience. So in other words, just a separate job experience like down here rather than bullet points underneath the same thing. So those are the LinkedIn rules. That's how it is. And unfortunately, that's just how it is. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep on going. I have 2 more questions that I prepared. Is there a way to see which posts perform best? I can't seem to figure it out. LinkedIn does not make this easy, and I totally get that. Oh, and I see that Tatiana asked a question. Okay, Tatiana, I will get to you in just a second. Okay, let me go back to this one. Is there a way to see which posts perform the best? Okay, so there are different ways to do this, but here's how I would do it if I were you. There's so many ways. Just a second. Bear with me. Okay, at the top of the home page, click anywhere where you see some analytics, right? Okay, and so, you can kind of see things right here. And with performance, LinkedIn will say, do you mean by impressions or do you mean by engagement? Which one do you mean? Okay, so let's just say, okay, I just want to see the top ones by engagement. And I don't just want the last 7 days, I want the last year. Okay, so let's do the last year. Scroll down and you will see your top performing posts. Now, there's one other thing you can do in case you're like, no, I really want more nitty gritty. And you can just keep on going from there. No, I want more nitty gritty analytics. Go ahead and click on export. Okay. So I'm going to export this file. I'm going to open it up. And if you go to the top posts tab right at the very bottom here, okay, and the LinkedIn makes this kind of confusing. On this side, you see how it has like the list of, it's really tiny. This has engagements right here at the top of column C. So all of these right here on the left-hand side are your top posts by engagements. On the right-hand side, right here it says impressions. All the posts here on the right-hand side are your top posts by impressions. And you can go ahead and analyze that way, and then you can click on the URL and look at it. So if you really want to start doing some Excel or spreadsheet magic, you can do it that way. All right, so we do have another question. Okay, Tatiana asks, and Tatiana, it's great to hear from you. Let's see what you're asking. In the About section, where you discuss your career, should you just list the overview of what you did and are doing, or also list the specific tasks you're performing to give credence to your profile? That's a fantastic question. So let me go ahead and go to the About section just for a little bit of a visual here. Just a second. Go here and Tatiana, thank you so much for asking a question. I appreciate it. Okay, so when we're talking about the About section, we're going here. So now mine is optimized for saying, hey guys, I'm the one to hire for your LinkedIn, right? So mine's a little bit different in that way. What I do recommend is if you have put in as many, if there are specific skills you have that you want to be known for, definitely put those in. If you have certain things like, I helped my company grow by, 250% in 1 year, and it is not proprietary information. This is key. As long as it's not proprietary information, and it's okay to put those statistics in there, do it, because there are 1 billion, not million, billion LinkedIn users. And the way you stand out is with numbers. Okay, so I do recommend putting in anything you can from a skill standpoint. Skills also help you too, because let's say someone is, let's say you're looking to get hired somewhere else. Whether you're actively looking for a job or you're like, let me just spruce up my profile just in case there's some opportunities down the road kind of thing. The more you can put your skills in there and stuff like that, there might be someone out there on LinkedIn of the other 1 billion users who's looking for those skills. So the more you can I hate to use the word keyword stuff because that really has a negative connotation, but the more you can inject some helpful keywords into your profile, that will help you as well. What I do recommend, however, in the beginning of any about section is making it clear the value you bring to the table. It's not just, for example, I do this, but this is the difference I make. Or people who struggle with this, I take them from A to B. So the more you can do that, the better. And that is something that I have paid strong attention to with my profile. So for example, LinkedIn can feel like a chore, but it doesn't have to. You can create a LinkedIn plan that attracts your dream clients, but it has to be done right. So if you're looking for this is what I offer, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read it all, but it's all there. And just quick promo plug for myself in the description of this live stream, I do have a one-on-one consultation link. I do recommend checking it out. I would love to meet with you one-on-one and really give you very personalized advice. So, all right. So yes, hopefully that helped you, Tatiana. And let me go ahead and I will say that she says thank you and Anna, you're welcome. So I love this. Okay, great. We have 4 minutes left. I think I have time for one more prepared question. And I think I just have one more prepared question. This is like perfect timing. I love this. Okay. This one was about how to announce, actually perfect timing. This is about how to announce a new job on LinkedIn. It was that video. And I'm curious about not using the celebrate function and instead creating a fresh post to get more reach. Do you have a link to where you learn this info about getting more reach this way? Thanks. Okay. So the main question I'm getting here is, are you sure I can believe you? And can you just show me where you got this information? And the best thing I can tell you is that I'm researching LinkedIn every single day, and not only from my own experience, but also my clients' experiences. I'm reading about LinkedIn every single day. I'm researching like crazy, like several hours go into research for every video I do. A ton of research goes into every presentation I make. So I don't curate all of that because it would just take even more time to curate every single thing that I do. But I assure you that I put a ton of attention into this because, again, if you're taking the time to listen to me, I want to make sure that I'm putting you on the right path because everyone's time is really, really precious. But the other question here had to do with if you do have a job, you know how there's the default image or animation that pops up that LinkedIn has. I recommend just having a fresh image and you actually have a selfie. It's okay. It's okay to do selfies once in a while, not too often, but once in a while. And you're looking in the camera and you're smiling and you're announcing it that way. That's going to go farther because now you're looking in the camera, you're looking at the people personally, expressing your good news. That's always better than some default animation or image that LinkedIn can provide. You always want to customize as much as possible. Ooh. And wait, we do have 2 more minutes and LaShawanda more. Just a second. Let me go to LaShawanda. What are impressions versus engagement? Okay, thank you so much. And also LaShawanda asks also, do you edit LinkedIn profiles for us? Yes, I do. I have edited a lot of LinkedIn profiles. Absolutely. And then to answer your question about impressions versus engagement, that's a fantastic question. So impressions are the number of times your post is seen, okay? And it's different than the number of people who saw your post. For example, let me actually, okay, we're going to go 3 minutes over, but I think this is completely worth it. Let me actually go ahead and share my screen here and let me go into LinkedIn. So for example, let's say you're on your home screen, right? And here's a post by Sarah. And right now, by my looking at this post, it's one impression by me, right? So let's say I scroll and then I say, wait a minute, what did Sarah just say? And I go back, guess what? 2 impressions. I just saw it twice. I saw it the one time and then I scroll back up to see it again. So impressions is the number of times a post is seen, okay? And it's always going to be a slightly higher number than the number of people who saw it. Engagements is the number of people who are liking, or they're reacting. LinkedIn now says reactions. They don't say like, they're reacting to it with, likes or hearts and stuff like that. And or they're commenting, and or they're reposting it. All of that together is engagement. So, and your engagement rate, okay, is the number of engagements you have relative to the number of impressions. So you want to have a higher rate because that shows that your post is more interesting to people. I don't know how else to put it nicely. There's no way to put it nicely. So hopefully I answered that question. And Lashawanda did say, and I'm going to give, Lashawanda said, awesome, thank you. And I have to give, I want to wrap this up by telling you a really quick story here. Lashawanda and I, many, many years ago, oh gosh, I want to say 2012 maybe, something like that. I think it was 2012. We competed against each other in a dance contest. And it was to raise money for March of Dimes. It was like Dancing with the Stars, where we got a crash course in ballroom dancing, and we had our, dance partners, and we went out there, but we were raising money, and I came in second place. Lashawanda won. And she did a fantastic job. And I still remember that hers was so good that she got people on the dance floor, and it was fantastic. So anyway, and Lashawanda, yes, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to speaking with you more about that. But I even did when I was trying to get people to vote, I even had my sons, who were very young then, like do a video saying, please vote for mom. But Lashawanda was way better, so she won. Anyway, so that we're going to wrap up everything right now. But thank you guys so much for your questions. I appreciate it. And if you want more of this type of live stream, let me know. I'd be very happy to answer more of your questions and just have these conversations with you. So thank you again. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.